In 1985, a group of men of Temple Israel of Natick put their talents together to meet the needs of their temple, creating a new sanctuary ark, amongst other things, for the temple. After 30 years of pooling their talents, that is, they are known as the Ark Builders and have donated their time to help other areas of our community. Today, these volunteers and their spirit of community has led to the creation of a book, The Ark Builders. So I welcome co-authors today, Jay Ball and his son David, and it has been my privilege to know this family for many years who have done so much for so many. How does it feel, Dad, to have your son working with you on this book?
It's pretty terrific. It's pretty terrific. Actually, it was all his idea.
No.
No, seriously, it was. David said about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago now, said, "Gee, Dad, I think you ought to write a book about the Ark Builders." I said, "Good heavens, why? Who would care?" You know. And he explained to me why.
And that's a good question. Why should somebody care?
Yeah, why should somebody care?
Well, I think you also are showing other faith-based communities a responsibility they could take up. That's my thought.
Well, one of the things that we want to do is we'd like to do a series of events when the book comes out. And we've entitled it Building Community, Sacred and Secular. And it talks about how when people have a passion, when they have an interest and they get together to do things, how that creates something more than just putting together pieces of wood or whatever it is that the end product is. And I think that that's something valuable now. There's a sense, I have a sense, that there's pushback in the world about having community and doing for others, that people focus on themselves. And the Ark Builders are a wonderful example of people who have gotten together and pooled their talents and built some beautiful furniture.
You know, in the epilogue, this is one of the two lines that really impressed me. Along the way, they learned about woodcraft, and working with each other was a form of worship. That was so touching. That's what happens. People working together is also a form of worship. For that, I think the Ark Builders could use a really big pat on the back. Now, who were the people that started this?
There were four of us. In 1984, the temple found itself on the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, with several hundred more people wanting to come to services than we had room for. So it became, we had to turn them away. And it became clear that we were going to have to do something. And this problem had been building for years as the congregation grew. So in 1985, we set up a tent in the back parking lot behind the temple. Tent seated 400 people.
Ooh.
And that very nicely took care of the overcrowding issue. But we needed, obviously, to conduct services, we needed, excuse me, not only a rabbi and a cantor, but we also needed an ark to hold the Torahs, and a couple of readers' desks, and a stand to hold Torahs when they were outside of the ark. And so we looked in catalogs to see what we could buy, and we couldn't find anything that was suitable. Everything was expensive and, well, to be honest, ugly. And none of it, but most important, none of it folded up. And the Temple Israel, like any institution, has a storage problem. Where do you put things? And these are pieces of furniture that are really needed only, you know, during 1 week during the year and had to be stored away. So a couple of us volunteered that we could design it and build these 4 pieces of furniture. And we'd make it so that they could be taken apart or that they'd fold up. And so we did. So 4 of us got together and over the space of, I don't know, a month or so, built these 4 pieces, an ark, 2 readers' desks, and a Torah stand. And they were used. They worked quite well. And we thought we were done. That was, we shook each other's hands, checked for, we all had 10 fingers. And so that was going to be the end of it. A couple of years went by, and someone, I can't remember who now, asked me, I think it was, whether or not that group of guys who had built the stuff for the tent could make them an ark for the religious school. They wanted a portable ark.
Oh.
And I said, well, I don't know, I'll go talk to the guys. And I talked to the other 3, and they said, yeah, sure. So we got together again. And that was the beginning of a 29-year odyssey where almost every year we have built a new piece of furniture, or in some cases made major modifications to the temple itself. We've completely rebuilt the sanctuary. And it's been an adventure, and it's, as I say, it's been going on for almost 3 decades now.
It's a beautiful sanctuary. I think I was only in there once, and you and Ricky, I think both of you were given awards for something. I can't remember why I was there. It was some award evening. But anyway, so now you have built for the Service Council, you built something for them, and a place to turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably missing. Well, I know you revamped some units at the Natick Housing Authority.
We did. After we ran out of projects after 20 or 25 years.
They kept asking, but
we had kind of built everything the temple needed inside, and in fact rebuilt some of the stuff because it had gotten old. And so we looked for projects outside of the temple. We had, a number of years ago, been doing renovations to our school wing, and that had filled the building with plaster dust, and so much so that we couldn't use our own sanctuary for Saturday services.
Oh my gosh.
So we made a deal with the Hartford Street Presbyterian Church down the street to use their sanctuary on Saturdays, and so on Friday afternoon we would come in, take down the crucifixes, take out all their stuff.
Yes, of course.
Bring in our ark. Saturday we would have Sabbath services there. At the end of the day on Saturday, we'd put our stuff away. We'd hang the crucifixes back up on the walls again, and they would have their sanctuary for Sunday. So we were so grateful. I mean, the temple was obviously very grateful for this
kind of stop
extraordinary generosity. So I don't recall what the temple did to say thank you, but the ark builders, and we are quite independent of Temple Israel. We report to no one.
You report to no one. I like that.
We don't ask anybody for their opinion about whether they like what we're going to design.
Too bad if they do. They don't.
And so we decided we
well,
wanted.
and they also self-fund everything. I mean, one of the extraordinary things when I look at the ark builders is they don't have a hierarchy. There's nobody who's assigned to be in charge. They don't report to anybody. They don't have funds. It's a very organic group.
So it's not funded by the temple?
Nope.
No, they find whatever resources they need to put things together.
We rob a few banks.
Because that's where the money is.
But anyway, so we decided we were going to make a gift. We, the ark builders, were going to make something for the Hartford Street Presbyterian Church. And we chatted with Rick Rhodes, who was the pastor, and came up with the idea of a table for their lobby. And so we built them a table, but it's a very unusual table. And if anybody has an opportunity to go in there and see it, it's quite beautiful. It's a, but I don't know, 6 or 8 feet long, sort of boat-shaped table, glass top, underneath of which is this wavy, beautiful walnut, wavy surface. So it's really a most unusual piece.
Sounds
Anyway,
extraordinary.
we branched out. We built. Anyone who's been in the children's room at the Morse Library has seen the castle, and we built the castle,
Yeah,
the little
been there,
playhouse.
It's worth seeing. It's
worth
pretty
a trip.
remarkable.
It's a wonderful, wonderful
Next
little
time I
thing.
go to the library, I'll go downstairs.
Well, and the kids, every single day, I was talking to one of the librarians, and she said every day the little kids, and it's really designed for 2 and 3 year olds, they come rushing into the room, and the first thing they do is they say hello to the fish, and then they run into the castle and they do little puppet shows and stuff.
Oh,
And let me see, A Place to Turn, the food pantry, which is right next to the Hartford Street Presbyterian, was rebuilding their interior, revamping and expanding their
Right.
interior. And they indicated that they had a need for a reception desk. And through Rick Rhodes, he hooked
that
the
I
art
saw
builders
one
up.
time when I was in there.
And
And they did the shelving as well.
so
Yeah.
a couple of our guys built them a very nice reception desk. And let's see, what else have we done? And then when Ricky, my wife Ricky, made it clear that the housing authority, she was on the board of the Natick Housing Authority, had a number of properties that were vacant and needed renovation before they could be re-rented. She said, well, the art builders don't seem to be very busy these days. What do you say, you guys? I said,
Spoken like a true wife.
yes, she was. And so we had a Sunday morning meeting. We always meet on Sunday mornings and have bagels and lox at Debson, paint store in downtown Natick.
Oh, was he one of the art builders?
Ben Greenberg, the owner of Debson,
Yes,
is
I
one of
remember
the
that
original
name.
4.
I'm sorry?
He's one of the original 4.
Yes, and you had an engineer
Well,
as the original 4?
yeah, actually 3 of us are engineers.
Oh, okay.
Ben operates paint and wallpaper. John Miller is an engineer. I was an engineer, and Fred Merkowitz, also an engineer. So anyway, Ricky said, how about it, guys? And I put it before the group, and we took a tour. I got a key and let him into one of these units, which were pretty tired looking. I mean, they get kind of beat up.
Yeah.
And so we wound up renovating 5 houses, and there were 5 families living in nice, clean, code-compliant homes that might not be had we not done what we did. But it was nice because we got a little bit of press, and we started to get phone calls from people who say, can we come and help? Now, this is Natick at its finest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's a great town. It's
we got a
great
call from
town.
Mark St. Hilaire. He said, listen, we've got an active congregation over at St. Paul's, and we got a bunch of people who'd be happy to help out, painting and cleaning. And so we had crews from St. Paul's come. We had some people from Hartford Street Presbyterian. We even had some people from New Jersey come. And a few
Jersey.
Natick citizens just came out of the woodwork, whom I'd never met.
To wood on the woodwork.
To work
yeah.
on the wood,
Yeah.
to work on the woodwork. So it was a project that had legs.
Well, now I'd like to hear, or the viewers would like to hear, the collaboration between the 2 of you on the book.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been delightful. My dad is a force of nature.
Yes.
He's a Renaissance man.
Yes. Agree.
Well, I mean, he does a lot of things well.
Yeah.
When you see the book, the photography is lovely, and all of the photographs are both of the pictures of things under construction and the final photographs. It looks very professional, and he's done them all. All of the line drawings, the schematics that are used to assemble these unusual pieces of furniture, and virtually everything has waves and curves, and it's very artistic. He's the principal designer for the Ark Builders, and he writes well. He's written the lion's share of the text. A concern that I had, and it wasn't a large concern, was that having such a strong personality and having strong ideas about what he wanted might be difficult to work with, and that hasn't been the case. Has not been the case at all.
I'm sure.
It's a very respectful, collegial relationship, and it's been delightful. It's been nice.
Did you choose your son to work with you, or did he?
No, I say it was his idea to write
So
the book.
it's his idea.
Yes, it was his idea. I
Okay.
would never have done
So
this.
he kind of roped you in. Oh shoot!
Well,
There goes my phone. I forgot to.
I don't know if we want to put it that way.
Oh, I hate that. Okay, let's talk louder, because I'm not getting up. Now, Rabbi Kushner had a part in this book?
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate. Rabbi Kushner, who is the Rabbi Emeritus at Temple Israel and has been there for, well over 50 years.
Close to 50. I know we celebrated a 40th
Yeah.
year of association some time ago.
Is a very well-known, on the New York Times bestseller list for
Oh, yes.
a number of books. Probably the most notable is When Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Oh, yes.
And
I read that book.
did you?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I read it a long time ago, so I can't remember everything I read.
But
it's about his son,
Well, it's
In part.
and about, in general, but about primarily his son
Yeah.
that had that rare disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're honored that he's associated with the book, that he sees value in it. And I mean, what this is it's a celebration of members of the of the temple that have gotten
Right.
together to create things. And I think having him write the foreword, and it's a wonderful little foreword, really adds something to the book. It adds some gravitas.
I think that's great. Now, you're going to be having future events in a website, right? You got a website coming up?
Yeah, the website is www.arcbuildersbook.com.
Okay, so we make sure that we give it to Dan, that information. He'll put it up.
Sure.
You know, his credits.
Sure, we haven't made it live yet.
Okay.
Because the book is not available yet.
Yeah.
It won't be back from the printer until September, and we won't have our first events until like late November.
But the two of you must really have enjoyed working together on this.
It's been
Because I saw you in that play that you had, Tuesday with Maury. I love that story to start with. I read that book, and you two were absolutely fabulous in that play.
Well, except
Except
David wasn't in it.
I was still fabulous, though.
It
That
was his,
wasn't-
it
No,
was
that
his
was
brother,
my
Alan.
brother. My brother's.
Oh.
That's okay.
And they look a lot alike, except
That's
for
okay.
their-
My brother's an actor, and I'm a nurse, so
oh, okay.
that's okay. That's okay.
I'm not really
He looks-
embarrassed because-
No, I mean he looks familiar because
I look pretty much the same as the guy that was with Alan, but
That's right. Well, you guys were fabulous, Eddie. You both did great.
thank you.
So maybe next time you can join him. I think you probably
That's
could-
okay.
Okay.
I've got things that keep me busy.
You can have a play about ark builders.
Well, I'll tell you, this is going to be, writing the book is only the first step. Because then after that, we want to have these events, we want to market the book, and we have to put it into 2,000 hands. So that's,
Now, is
4,000.
writing one of your hobbies? I know you said you're a nurse.
I don't know that I would call it a hobby. I did write a book on space history, and that was came out in 2010, and I was very pleased with that. But that was based on my passion for postage stamps and space history, and so it's a book about the two. And so I knew the mechanics of putting together a book, and so that's been part of my contribution, is saying, okay, this is how we get the book printed. Now we need a website, and so that's been my contribution. I don't know a lot about the ark builders, although I've learned a lot having interviewed them. But in terms of how the wood gets put together and what happened on the projects and things like that, that's something that my dad's lived for 29 years, and so we have that collaboration.
if I can just leap in, I need to tell you this.
You don't have to pay if you leave it. No.
I was concerned as the writing was going forward that this was going to be a very dry and uninteresting kind of book. David has interviewed all of the living ark builders. 4 of them have passed away, and those he has interviewed either spouse or another family member, and has produced profiles, 1 or 2 page little bios of each of us. And I think it adds, and these are sprinkled throughout the book, and I think it adds enormously to the interest. It does to me. It makes me interested in reading the book, because I'm finding out things about these guys that I've worked with that I never knew. I mean, there's one who's a professional carpenter, and I've always thought he was a carpenter. It turns out he was a stockbroker before he was a carpenter.
Wow.
There were, there's a host of stories, but David's major writing contribution has been these profiles of the ark builders.
And the epilogue.
And the epilogue. And,
I like the epilogue. Very much.
and the impetus to write the thing in the first place. And it's been great
I think
fun.
it's amazing. You got a father and son putting their talents together and their hearts together to create something for posterity, for the town of Natick, and maybe the world. Who knows? I'll put you on my prayer list, and you'll be on a
Thank
New
you.
York seller no, wait, how do you say that? New York
New York
bestseller
Times
list.
bestseller list.
Oh, New
Yeah.
York Times bestseller
Yes.
list. Okay.
We're
I start
signed
that
up, but
tomorrow.
I think we have a very, very high number.
You signed on already? At least your name is on there for right now.
Yeah, not so much.
And so, do you still do the work now? Are
Yeah,
you still building and creating?
we are. We got a couple of projects in the works at the moment. We're also looking to do one for the town.
One for the town.
We are, and this isn't quite nailed down yet, but we have offered to repair and replace all the benches on the town common, because they're
Oh, that
all
would be-
they're all getting old.
Are
And
they going to
tired.
put a plaque on it built
Well,
by
they
the
all
ark builders?
No,
Why not? I
because
think it
they
would be
all
great.
all the benches have plaques already. They're all donated in memory of somebody or other.
Oh, so you're repairing them?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
the wood's getting splintery, and so we're
So we'll put a banner up, repaired by the ark builders.
We're-
Not important. They're really not about
important.
the
We're happy to
recognition.
I
do
know. I just want to give it to you. That's
Yeah,
all.
but
Thank you.
I think their real thing has been about creating something that they're proud of. And when they do the congregational projects, when they redid the Ark and they had 90 people involved, it was really about giving people an opportunity to contribute, setting the stage for people to take that passion and that talent and put it into something useful. And they've done that.
and people who joined us in these 2 big congregational projects, every one of them says, I helped to build that. That's the beautiful thing about building things as opposed to making a donation or writing a check. When you
Right.
build something, it's there next week and next year, and you can look at it and you
In
say,
20 years,
I helped
40
to do
years.
that. One of my favorite memories
Yes.
was after we had built the ark, the new ark,
Right.
installed in the sanctuary. I was sitting behind a lady in services, and I heard her whisper to her son, after services, we got to go up there. And so after services were over, she went up, and I kind of trailed them, and I had to listen. She said, what do you think of that? And the kid says, wow, that's way cool. And she says, yes, and Mommy helped, as opposed to Daddy, and Mommy helped to build it. And so people
it's
take
good.
enormous pride in having,
Yes.
regardless of what they did, it might have been big, it might have been small, but they all said, I helped to build this house of worship,
That's right.
rather than just be a member of it.
If we could all donate, if we could all take the time, get off our phones, get out of the TV, get out there and do something for community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, taxes might even be lower.
Yeah, maybe so. But we would have a better community.
People working together.
Yeah, and doing for other people.
Yes.
Well, I think we got a pretty good community here in Natick right now.
We do. We really do. Yes.
But there's always room for improvement, right?
A more perfect union.
And I just think you two are going to be very successful with this book.
From your lips,
To God.
Yeah.
you betcha.
You hear that, God? I'm telling you. And you know, women are always right. So now you've got still some more work to do. Do you have any more writing to do in the book?
We're essentially done. This week, the book goes to the next phase, and in this phase, it's being laid out by a professional person who does layout, and then it gets sent to overseas where the book is printed.
Yeah.
And then it'll come back to Natick probably in September, and at that point, we're working on putting together different events.
Right.
We have some wonderful events already planned.
Good.
The book will be available on Amazon. It'll be available at Barnes & Noble, available on the website. We already have a store that's offered to carry it. So we've actually sold some books. Well,
You have sold some books.
The marketing manager has sold some books.
Oh.
We've been doing the writing, but
Yeah.
the book is so successful that the first 10 copies are already sold, and we haven't sent the book off to the layout girl yet. But so we already have venues that are signed up. We have the Vilna Shul in Boston.
I don't know. but
Well, it's a cultural focus for Boston Jews, and they're going to be putting on our program, building community, sacred and secular. We're going to have a coming out party for the book at Temple Israel, and that's going to be on December the 7th.
Why don't you call Ted Reinstein?
Who's that?
Chronicle.
We're going to.
I have his email if you'd like.
Well, the marketing
the
manager.
marketing. I'll give it to her. I'll give it to her, definitely.
So anyhow, we already have how many? We have at least 3.
The library.
Yeah. The Morse Institute is going to have a program for us. So it's exciting.
Well, I think you have an excellent marketing manager.
We do.
She is going to work.
We do. She's
her-
been.
How often do you get to call your marketing manager Mom?
Yeah.
No. Not very often.
Yeah. She's a very outgoing person and has been.
And knows everybody in
Well,
Natick.
and that's because she's been very engaged. They've both been very engaged in
I know.
the community for a long time.
I know.
And that's going to end up
Yes.
helping us when we want to tell people about the
Yes.
book.
I can't wait to finish this so I can shut that off. So, we're going to be presenting your mom and his bride in just a few minutes. I thank you very much, and we have to wrap up.
Okay.
And my favorite thought, I usually give a thought with each program, was the one I took from your epilogue, which I loved. In one way or another, faith suffuses anything we do. And that was a very good ending for the epilogue.
Good. Tell people to read the book.
Yes. And if you see somebody out there is a little bit sad, give them a hug. Everybody needs a hug at least 4 times a day. Thank you for watching. Thank Jay. Thank David for being here with us on
Been a
Sizzling Seniors. You're not a senior.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome.